Okay, that is humanistic perspective of personality. Next, we are going to discuss on social cognitive perspective of human personality. So in this section, we are going to discuss two important contributions. One is Bandura's social cognitive theory in explaining human personality. And second, we are going to discuss on Michel's contributions on how his concept develops or explain about theory of personality. And the last part, we're going to evaluate all of we are going to discuss in the evaluating social cognitive perspective. Okay, introduction to social cognitive perspective of personality. Social cognitive perspective emphasize on conscious awareness, belief, expectations, and goals. Okay, all of these factors, according to social cognitive perspective of personality, are important in the developments of people's personality. And social cognitive perspective incorporating principle from behaviorism as well. Okay, it's not only about cognition, but involve about social aspect as well. Okay, it's explore the person's ability to reason, a person's ability to think about the past, present, and future, and person's ability to reflect on their self. Okay, it's emphasized on the person's individual's interpretation of situation. It's not because of they are the effects of situation, but based on how they use their cognitive process to interpret their situation in a given moment. Okay, this perspective focus on the uniqueness of each person, which reflected in their personality. Okay, and this social cognitive perspective are not interested in the broad traits. Okay, they investigate on more specific factors such as belief and the relationship of belief to behavior and performance. So here I need to emphasize that beside these three perspectives that we are discussing, there are another perspective which called as trait perspective, which we are not covered in this video. So broad trait perspective here refers to the traits or personality traits that have been discussed, such as the big five personality traits. Okay, they are conscientiousness, the openness, agreeableness, introversion, extroversion, neuroticism. So we are not discuss that perspective here. So here, what I try to say is social cognitive do not look at those broad personality traits. Instead, they look more on the specific factors such as our belief. One of the most famous scholars in social cognitive perspective is Albert Bandura. Okay, if you recall that the experiments of Babadol, okay, where they bring a group of children in a room where they can see through mirror, they can see adults punching the doll. Okay, after that, they bring these children to the room and they observe that the children imitate the behavior of the adults by also hitting the dolls. So that is the experiments by Bandura. So Albert Bandura, social cognitive theory states that behavior, environment, and cognitive factors are all important to understanding of people personality. Okay, Bandura took the basic principles of behaviorism and added the role of mental processes in determining behavior. So basically, take behaviorism perspective of stimulus and response, rewards, punishments, all of the conditioning as well. So look at how thinking process, how interpretation involved in this behavior, whether the person will end up imitate or adopt the behavior or not. Okay, in contrast to Skinner, which one of the behaviorists, which regards behavior as cause by the situation, behavior as the effects of situations, Bandura pointed out that the person can also cause situation, where he discussed about reciprocal determinism. So this is one of the important Bandura's concepts that relates to personality. What is reciprocal determinism? Reciprocal determinism is a concept that Bandura introduced that explain or describe the way behavior, environment, and cognitive factors interact each other to create one's personality. Okay, so this is the part that Bandura say is actually is not one-way effects, where that situation will cause someone to behave in a certain way. Actually, when situations makes a person behave in certain way, and the behavior of person can always or can also give effects to the situation. So situation can change someone's behavior can change the situation. So it's a reciprocal. A affect B and later B affect A, and they in the reciprocal relationships. So Banduras illustrates this reciprocal determinism in this figure. You can see that cognitive factors can affect behavior, and at the same time behavior can also affect cognitive factors. Same goes between behavior and environment. Behavior can cause environment and environment can cause behavior, and same goes to environment to cognitive factors and cognitive factors to environment. Okay, when you go to a certain environment, you will have a certain thinking, you will have a certain belief on what are happening, what are good or what are bad in the environments, which affects your behavior. And when you behave in certain way, the environmental context, the social context will also respond to your behavior. Okay, remembers about pro-social behavior. When people present at a particular accident situation, for example, people will have less sense of responsibility to help because there are more people present. But say, for example, you arrive there, people are already crowding the situations, you go and offer help. And at the same time, when other people see that you are helping the person, they also come to help. Okay, that's an example whereby behavior change the environmental context. Okay, this concept is explained in Bandura's concept of reciprocal determinism. And this can also affect our personality. Okay, like I mentioned early on in these sections, one of the famous Bandura's experiment is about observational learnings. And according to Bandura, observational learnings also involve in our personality development. Okay, examples. Okay, social cognitive theories, okay, like Bandura, they believe that we human beings acquire a wide range of behaviors. We acquire a wide range of thoughts, thinking. We acquire a wide range of feelings by observing others, through observing others' behavior. Early on in our life, during childhood, we observe our parents, our siblings, our caregivers' behavior. When we reach adolescence, we observe our friends' behavior. We observe our teachers' behavior. Okay, we observe people behavior surrounding us. Okay, all of those behaviors can give us ideas, can form us ideas on whether we should behave in the same way or not, whether we should adopt the behavior ourselves or not. So this is basically relate back to the concept of observational learnings that's Bandura introduced. Bandura also talk about personal control, which personal control can always affect our behavior and personality. So personal control refers to the degree to which a person believes he or she is in charge of the outcome of the behavior. Okay, so there are two types of personal control, where Bandura terms as locus of control. Okay, we can always have internal locus of control or external locus of control. Psychologists commonly describe a sense of behavioral control as coming from inside the person. So this is what he regards as internal locus of control. Okay, on the other hand, the sense of behavioral control that are outside of us, this is considered as external locus of control. When we feel that we ourselves are controlling our choices and our behaviors, the locus of control is internal. But when our influences are controlling them, when other influences beside ourselves are controlling them, the locus of control is external. Examples: if you believe that your score in this subject, your grade in this subject depends on your own understanding, on your own intellectual ability, on your own efforts, so that is basically a reflection of your internal locus of control. On the other hand, if you believe that, or if you think that your grades, your score is depend on me, the lecturer, depend on the level of the difficulty of the questions, okay, so that is basically example of external locus of control. So beside the internal and external locus of control, Bandura also introduced the concept of self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the belief that one has the competence, one has the ability to accomplish a given goal or task. Okay, it's a belief about ourselves. If we believe that we are able to successfully complete our assignments, so that is basically a reflection that you have a high self-efficacy. If you believe that you can achieve, you can earn good score in exam, in assessment, is a reflection of you having a high self-efficacy. Self-efficacy has been found to be related to a number of positive developments in people's life, okay, including solving problems, becoming more sociable, initiating and maintaining a diet or exercise program, and quitting smoking. Okay, so those are basically positive developments in human life which I found to be related with one's self-efficacy. Self-efficacy influences whether people even try to develop healthy habits, okay, as well as how much effort they expend in coping with stress, with pressure, with depression, how long they persist in the face of obstacle, how much stress and pain they experience. All of these sort of negative experience also related to self-efficacy. Self-efficacy also linked with successful interviews, successful job performance, and achievement in a creative profession. Beside Albert Bandura, another scholars that contribute a lot in the explanations of personality development from social cognitive perspective is Walter Mischel. Walter Mischel has left his mark, okay, on the field of personality in two notable ways. One, his critique on the idea of consistency in behavior. Okay, in other words, personality ignited a flurry of controversies. Okay, attract attentions, but also controversies when people debated whether that is the new way of thinking about personality. Second, he proposes a new model which have changed the way people think about personality. And this model is called Cognitive Affective Processing System, or the short form is CAPS model. Okay, notice that in this CAPS model, there are two important psychological processes, which are cognitive process and affective process. Affective process here refers to the emotion and feeling. Walter Mischel attacked the assumption that personality characteristics are an enduring influence on behavior. So basically, he disagreed. He criticized that actually our personality is not necessarily enduring influence, will have a lasting impact on our behavior in all situations. It's not necessarily so. He basically challenged the people understanding of that particular time that our personality will always influence our behavior in all settings, in all contexts, and every time. So he challenges. According to him, it's not necessarily so. Okay, this is where he introduces the concepts of situationism. The idea that behavior changes considerably from one context to another. Okay, so basically we are not going to respond to the same way in different contexts. Example, you are a very talkative person, a chatty person. You like to talk, okay, while having your breakfast, having your lunch, having your dinner with your friends. You always have topics to talk. Okay, in your hostel, you always have topic to talk. Okay, in your social setting, when you go out, you always like to chit chat. However, when you are in class, you become very quiet. Okay, why in class you have different personality as compared to when you're outside of the class? According to Michelle, because situation influence our behavior and personality. So researchers responded by showing that it is not a matter of whether personality predicts behavior, but when and how personality influence behavior. And usually the combination of situational factors plus personality will result into a specific behavior that reflects our personality. Michel's also introduced his own concepts of personality. Okay, Michel's study of delay of gratification led to his own theory of personality. Delay of gratification here refers to a situation when we putting off a pleasurable experience in the interest of some larger but later reward. Okay, in the interest of later but larger rewards. Examples. Some of us right now in a stressful situation whereby you need to do revisions, okay, due to the coming quiz as well as final exam. So say for example, at this crucial moment, you are being offered on a project that will earn you 1,000 ringgit, for example, a very lavish amount of money for your status, for our status as student. And you reject this offer because for you it's more important to pay attention in your revision because of what? If you earn a better grades, then you will have a better opportunity to secure a better employment with a better long-lasting payment. So for you, it is worthwhile to sacrifice a short-term gain to gain a long-term gain which are bigger and larger and better. So that is the concept of delay of gratification. Okay, Michels introduces cognitive affective processing system models in trying to understand people personality. Michel's theoretical model for how individuals' thoughts and emotion about themselves and the world affect their behavior and become linked in ways that matters to that behavior. So it's not only about cognitive process, but the combination between cognitive process and specific emotion of at that particular time. Okay, there will be a lot of combination. Why? Because we have a lot range of emotion and we have a lot range of thinking. So the combination of specific thinking or cognitive process and specific feeling, emotion at a particular time will always influence and affect our behavior. And that will always translated into the reflection of our personality. Evaluation of social cognitive perspective of personality. Okay, by now we know that how Albert Bandura and Michel's contribution has shaped the concept and theory of personality from this perspective. Social cognitive approach highlights the observation of behavior. Okay, the observation of overt behavior. It emphasizes this perspective, emphasizes on the influence of cognitive process, and this suggests people can always control their environment. Okay, not only their behavior but also their environments. But there are also noticeable weaknesses and limitation of this perspective. For example, these social cognitive perspective are too concerned with change and situational influence, as if we don't have a permanent or we don't have an enduring personality traits or personality characters. And this perspective has been criticized to ignore the role of biology. Okay, why some people have inherit some characteristic of their parents, for example, some personality attributes of their parents. And this perspective tends to lead to a very specific predictions for each person's, making generalizations impossible. Okay, so because it talk about a very specific behavior, very specific thinking, very specific emotion, so we cannot generalize the behavior to in other contexts. In other words, you cannot anticipate same behavior of your children in different situation. You thought that they will be well manners in their school. Okay, you thought that they will be well adapted in universities, but you cannot do that from this perspective because of what? Different situation will incur different response and different behavior. Okay, just now I touched briefly about the influence of biology, how some people inherit some characteristic or personality attributes of their parents. Okay, how can this happen? So we are going to briefly discuss about the influence of biology in personality developments from biological perspective. So as an introduction, the notion that physiological process influence personality has been around since ancient times. So what is nervous system doing? What is our central nervous system doing? How they works and how this process influence our behavior already being taught by philosophers long before modern psychology. Okay, in more recent advances in methods and theories have led to fascinating research on the role of biological process in personality. Okay, recent researchers have paid attention to the importance influence of biology on our personality and behavior. Okay, personality and behavioral genetics. We are going to look at this perspective only. Behavioral genetics, the study of the inherited underpinnings of behavioral characteristic. Okay, in this perspective, in these subdisciplines, they conducted research on twins to see whether twins will inherit or demonstrate similar personality characteristic. If they does, shows that there could be the effects of genetics on personality development and behavior. Okay, when they conducted the twin studies reveal a substantial genetic influence. Substantial here can be regarded as big, as huge, as important, as large or high. So all of those can refer to substantial. Substantial genetic influence on the big 5 personality traits. Okay, conscientiousness, agreeableness, openness, neuroticism, introversion, extroversion. So twin studies found that actually we may inherit conscientiousness personality traits from our parents. We may inherit introversion, extroversion from our parents. Okay, why? Because they found that heritability estimates are about 50%. Okay, there are 50% chances you will inherit the personality of your father. There is a 50% chances that you will inherit personality of your mother. So heritability here does not mean that traits are set in stone. Okay, because it's only 50%. It doesn't mean that DNA is the sole cause of our behavior. Because heritability, we only look at the similarities in terms of statistic between our personality characteristic and our parents' personality characteristic or our twins' personality characteristic. And most traits, you need to be emphasized here. Most traits are influenced by multiple genes. It's not only from one genes. Okay, so that is briefly about the biological perspective of personality. So in a nutshell, we have discussed 3 perspectives of personality and personality development. Okay, the first one we talk from psychodynamic perspective. The second one we discussed from humanistic perspective, and just now we've discussed from social cognitive perspective. I do touch briefly on the biological perspective. So thank you very much for paying attention. See you guys again in the next video.